So hello and welcome to It's Never Too Late, the podcast where we explore the inspiring journeys of women who have embraced change, achieved remarkable things and followed their dreams in midlife and beyond. I'm Claire Roberts-Molloy, midlife mindset coach, and in each episode I'll be speaking with women who prove that age is just a number and it's never too late to chase your goals. Today, I'm joined by Becci Bradley, a passionate yoga and wellness enthusiast. She's the proud owner of the Beehive in Sedgley and devotes her life to sharing the transformative power of yoga and holistic wellness with others. She specialises in different yoga styles, including Hatha, Vinyasa and Yin. And if you don't know what they are, I'm sure she'll explain it to you shortly. And through her classes and workshops, she inspires others to cultivate mindfulness, find inner peace and lead healthier lives. And I think we all need a little bit of that. So welcome, Becci. Just giving you a short intro there, but can you tell our listeners a little bit more about yourself, who you are, and more importantly, what have you achieved since you've sort of hit 40?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, Claire. Okay, so yeah, I'm Becci. That was a good summary. I'm a yoga teacher. I am a mom of two as well, two teenagers. One is almost 20, so no longer a teenager. And yeah, as you said, I kind of hit 40. Some might call it a midlife crisis. Personally, I don't see it that way. I just think you kind of get this realization that it's a now or never. I decided to train to teach yoga, which has always been my passion. I've done yoga myself personally since I was in my early 20s. I think we actually went on holiday and I was doing the yoga class in the hotel. And, you just get this feeling of like, I could do this. So yeah, got home and I was like, right, okay, whacked it on a credit card and retrained. And then initially I was teaching in gyms and church halls and things like that. But it was just never really, the ambience wasn't quite right. It was always a bit, cold or noisy. So again, I just bit the bullet and thought to myself, I wonder how much it would be to have my own space. And again, I just stuck it up on the credit card and the Beehive was born. So yeah, I just feel very honoured that the thing that I love the most, yoga, my passion, has become my business as well.
Amazing.
And yeah, and it's just, yeah, it's unbelievable, really. We've been there 9 years, so it's our 10th birthday next year. So
amazing. And all of that really came from you saying what's possible.
Yeah, I think, I was always in retail management, and then when I had the children, I fully thought I would go back to that. I did love it, but something's just shifted and I just thought, no. And I think maternity leave gives you a bit of space, doesn't it, to step back a little bit and say, okay, maybe I don't want to go back into that business again. So yeah, I feel blessed, very blessed, because it's worked out well.
Yeah, you mentioned there some sort of key times in a woman's life when they might be thinking a little bit differently or have those realizations.
Yeah.
And I talk a lot about 40 being sort of that watershed moment for a lot of women.
Yeah.
And another time is when you have children, isn't it? And
yeah,
life changes happen. So you said you didn't see 40 as a midlife crisis, and I think that sort of is really. Most of us aren't feeling that now, are we?
No, not at all. When I look back and I think, I'm 51 now, and I look back and I think of my nan at 51. No disrespect to my nan, but we're we're worlds apart, aren't we now? And I just think it's an amazing time. It's an exciting time. Our children are generally getting a bit older. I feel far more confident now than I ever did in my 20s, even my 30s. So yeah, bring it on.
Bring it on. Love that attitude. And I mean, you look amazing, and that I'm sure you would say that's absolutely testament to your lifestyle that you live, and all of that. And I was speaking to another guest on this podcast actually, and she raised the question around longevity, and we're all living longer. Well, that's the plan, isn't it? We are living longer. As you say, 51-year-olds, Becky's not the same as 51-year-old grandma. As you say, we're worlds apart. So we are living longer. And if we're living longer, it's really important for us to focus on our health and well-being. So how have you found that, your passion that you've turned into your business is also helping you stay healthier and younger in yourself?
I feel that, I think perimenopause was quite a big wake up for me. I do think we're very lucky that we're kind of hitting it in a time where it is very much out there. I feel so sad for women that have gone before us and gone through this without the knowledge that we're finally getting. Still a long way to go, but I think for me, my job is my body, and I just thought to myself, I'm not going to see this as a bad thing. I'm going to see this as, right, come on, lady, you prioritise you and your well-being and your self-care. Otherwise, you're going to really struggle through this period. Yeah, so for me, I feel it's an honour to still be able to exercise and do my practice. And I'm vegan, I eat well. It's just really important, I think. Like you say, 51 is nothing now, really. We do need to be still looking after ourselves and prioritising ourselves, which is easier said than done, I know. And I do give many of my ladies at the gym kick up the bum very often because they put themselves right at the bottom of the pile. And the unfortunate thing is then that nobody gets the best of you unless you feel good in yourself. It's not selfish at all. At all. Yeah.
So. I think we're singing from the same hymn sheet there. I'm a massive believer in self-care. And that self-care isn't selfish. And I know it sounds like a real cliche, but they do say on a plane to put your own oxygen mask on first, don't they?
Absolutely.
You can't serve others unless you're serving yourself well. So that's fantastic. And for the listeners out there, having seen some of your pictures of you doing yoga and having visited the Beehive a few times, I'm in awe of your flexibility.
Oh, thank you, Claire.
And it's something I can sort of dream of, and I would love to be able to achieve.
Let's just say there's a lot of hot baths and Epsom salts.
Whatever the secret is, it's working.
Thank you. Thank you.
Obviously, we know what brought you to yoga. It was that passion. It was wanting to. Well, tell us a bit more about that, as well as being your passion and thinking, actually, believing in yourself that you could do it.
Yeah.
So you're hoping that journey from being a retail manager and being employed, what were you hoping that journey into entrepreneurship and being a business owner would bring you?
I think for me, the key word is probably freedom. And there's a lot about being self-employed that is hard. That there really is, holidays are they cost you double because you're not earning while you're away. There's no such thing as sick pay or anything like that. But, I've never had to miss anything that the children were doing. I've always been able to work around things. So for me, it was that freedom. And I am a little bit, let's do it and worry about it later kind of person, which sometimes works out and sometimes doesn't. But in this case, it did work out. So I think for me, my main concern was that I lost my love for yoga when it turned into a business. But luckily I didn't at all. And sometimes I do struggle because I love it so much to see it as a business, but the bills need to be paid. So yeah.
They do. Yeah. They do say if you do something you love, you never work a day in your life. And it sounds like you've got that. And you do so much more than yoga though, don't you? You've like all good businesses and like all lifelong learners like myself, you've obviously evolved. So what else have you been doing in your business?
I mean, to be honest, my idea with the Beehive, when I first opened, there was only me there. So I was teaching about 20 odd classes a week.
Wow.
And then we hit lockdown, and again, the same kind of scenario. It allows you to take a step back, as you know, quite scary as it was. It took me away. And it made me kind of think, okay, what do I want? Do I really want to be teaching 25 classes a week? As much as I love it, it's quite a big commitment. So I looked at employing other instructors, and luckily I had some beautiful yogis coming up through the ranks that trained to teach, and it just kind of evolved. And then I rebranded and I called it the Beehive, and then it became more of a hub, really. So we do things like, we do lots of different workshops. We've got a wonderful lady that comes and does breath work. We've got Andrea that does sound healing, who is fantastic. Anything really that is all about wellness and inspiring. I mean, you came to the Hugar evening. So it's all about anything that's going to help us navigate life. There's, anything that is going to benefit us, and any knowledge that we can have has got to be an asset. And then we do things like swap, don't shop. So again, thinking of the environmental impact of buying clothes and things like that. So we have evenings where we all bring in 3 items, we stick them on a rail and we swap, and they're fun as well. And it really is, it's just become a community. And I'm super blessed because everyone that walks through the door seems to be absolutely lovely. So yeah, it's just, I kind of see it as a hub, really. Of course, the main ethos is the yoga, but it's got so many different branches now. So yeah,
that is what's
so wonderful.
Yeah, it's building that community.
Yes.
And you say you're blessed, but that you've been the instigator of that. It's something you've created, which is really special.
Yeah, it's fab. And we've just started doing retreats as well. So we've just we did our first foreign retreat this year, which was absolutely a dream come true. And again, it's just that community of people, like-minded people, and we're not all perfect yogis. We all, like a drink and go out and stuff. So it's just lovely being with people that, you're on the same wavelength as, really.
And how important do you think that sense of community and that connection is to women, especially as, well, women in general, but then especially as we're becoming more mature, let's say?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a blessing because menopause is very often the hot topic in the Beehive changing room, reception room. So we talk a lot and we laugh as well. We laugh about our hot sweats, and we'll laugh about, putting the remote control in the fridge. And that's lovely, isn't it? Because you're sharing it and you're saying, oh, yeah, I did that and I did that. And I feel like that as well. So we're all sharing our journeys. And then the younger ones just look at us and think, what are these lot on about? But again, it's just that good understanding. We've actually got a menopause workshop next weekend, and quite a few are booked onto that as well. So it's just that togetherness, isn't it? And knowing that you're not alone in what you're going through. And yeah, it's just quite a pivotal time, I think, for over 40s.
And I think having those conversations are really key. And the younger people hearing you have that conversation.
Yes.
Because I remember when I was growing up, it was all sort of whispered and behind closed doors, and people would talk about the change.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, are they like Transformers? What's going to happen? What is this change that's going to happen? And I remember being a really nosy kid, and that not much has changed on that front. But, I would try and listen in and try and figure out what they were talking about, because it wasn't openly discussed and there was so much taboo around it. So the fact there is a space where women can come together, they can have those conversations, access information, access the workshops.
Yeah.
Younger people can be part of that. I think She's brilliant.
And you know what, as well, even the men, the men are in the minority at the Beehive, I'm not going to lie. But even the men are like, oh, we didn't know about this. So they're getting a better understanding, and hopefully we'll take it home and then be kinder to their wives and girlfriends and moms. So,
yeah. Well, it's a point in our life, isn't it? And I don't shy away from mentioning it. So I'll be in situations, and I was in a formal situation the other day, and somebody was saying, "Oh, they're really cold," and they said, "Are you cold?" I said, "I'm not actually," and that's probably where perimenopause does come in really handy.
Yes. Yeah, we have our own little internal hinters.
And I was like, but we need to make it, we acknowledge it, because it's part of what we're experiencing, and why should we hide away what our experience is?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think and approaching it with that little sense of humour as well, we do laugh because the windows are always open at the Beehive because we're all of a certain age. We've all got our own little internal heating system going on. Yeah. But we just, it's lovely to share. Absolutely.
Yeah. So how do you cope with the hot yoga? Because you do hot yoga as well?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's hot. It's hot. It's kind of a different kind of heat, though. It's not so much the clammy kind of fan yourself down heat. It's the proper, the sweat is dripping off me heat. Yeah. But I just embrace it. It's fine.
I remember doing hot yoga many years ago, and it was.
Yeah, it's intense.
It's something different. It is something different.
It is.
Okay. So when you set out to follow your passion into yoga and start your entrepreneurial journey, had you thought about starting a business before, or was the business just the route through which you could embrace your passion?
I kind of always had, I think I always knew I wanted to work for myself, but I didn't really, when you just get stuck into a job and then you start getting promoted, and then the paycheck is nice and it's always there, and it's there every month. So I kind of got into that little groove, really, of like, and I did enjoy my retail, I did. But like I say, I think the maternity leave, being away from that 9 to 5, if you like, I started doing what probably a lot of people on maternity leave do, doing eBay, doing bits and pieces like that, just to up your money. So I think I've always had that in me. But yeah, I think me and my best friend did start selling vintage wedding dresses at one point. So we built that up as well. We used to, because I love vintage clothing. So we had a studio at the Custard Factory in Birmingham, and we used to do vintage fairs and things like that as well. So yeah, but I was kind of juggling. My son was very small when I was doing that, so that was quite hard. So by the time I started the Beehive, he was 5, so it's a little bit easier because he was at school. So yeah, I think I've always had it in me.
Always had that little entrepreneurial streak.
Yeah.
What's been since you've embraced being self-employed sort of full-time, what's been your biggest challenges and your biggest learning?
I think the biggest challenge for me was when I first started, I was doing a part-time job as well. So of course, school runs, things like that were just a bit of a nightmare. The part-time job, they'd kind of drop things on you and say, "Oh, could you do tomorrow? Can you cover this?" But it was a guaranteed bit of money every month. And I think one day I just thought to myself, I either give everything to the yoga business, or I look back and think nobody was getting the best of me. So I think to walk away, even though it was just a part-time job, it wasn't well paid, but it was a guaranteed, £600 a month or whatever. So I think that was quite a big thing for me, just saying, right, okay, everything now is resting on the studio. That was quite big. Challenges, do you know why? I'm almost scared to say it. Everything's quite smooth sailing. Everyone is lovely that comes. All the instructors are so professional and reliable. We always come together and help out. The main challenges really are outside influences, things like electricity bills and cost of living and things like that, you know. But again, you've just got to ride it out, haven't you? There's going to be times when it's good and times when it's not so good.
Yeah, that is the thing with being self-employed, isn't it?
Yeah.
You become the chief everything officer.
Yeah, absolutely. And things like, I think now I've been doing it for 9 years. I know the peaks and troughs. So I know that summer is not great. You know, numbers dwindle. If we have a nice summer, people don't want to come. So I just do things in the busier months to kind of carry me through. And I do quite a bit of stuff with children as well now. So I'll do family classes in the summer. I've done a little bit with schools as well, teaching children in schools. So yeah, it's kind of all comes together eventually.
So just always evolving, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest personal lesson you've learned about yourself as a business owner?
I actually think I am quite creative, if you like, which maybe I didn't know before. So I never kind of think to myself, oh, I can't afford that. I think to myself, how can I afford that? And then I'll kind of shift that perspective and think, what can I do, you know, to reinvest? And I didn't ever think I was like that, to be honest. And kind of being a lone wolf as well. I wasn't sure how I'd be with that because I've always been quite a, you know, part of a team when I was working. So to be on your own sometimes is a little bit scary, a little bit daunting. But now I've got the other instructors, it's almost like I have got a team, and I have a lovely lady that sublets within the Beehive who's a beautician. She does a lot of holistic stuff and beauty stuff. So she's kind of like a workmate as well. But yeah, that's something I wasn't really used to, is just being on my own and making all the decisions on my own and stuff. But yeah, it's all good.
Good, brilliant. So yeah, so it's having that creative thinking, isn't it?
Yeah.
And finding those solutions around. And I love that. Not I can't. It's how can I? That is a really important mindset shift, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you've built these communities, we said before. So
I think as well, a business like mine, which is yoga wellbeing, you're not necessarily very money minded. They don't kind of go hand in hand. So I have done a lot of work on kind of limiting beliefs and this old habits and thoughts that you have with money. You know, to put the prices up is something that crucifies me, and I mull over and over. And my yogis, they don't care. They're like, it doesn't matter, Beck, it's £1. But for me, I'm like, oh gosh. So yeah, it's not something that naturally goes hand in hand, the kind of thing that I do and doing a business as well. So that's something I've definitely had to work on as well, my money mindset and seeing it that way.
Yeah. And I've been on a similar journey, mindset. And I think a lot of women face that maybe more so than some men around feeling around money and overthinking it and not. Yeah, I was going to say you're in business to make a profit.
Yes.
So it's overcoming some of those limiting beliefs, as you say. And I think
absolutely. And I think that's one of the hardest things because they're very ingrained in us from childhood very often.
They are.
You know, the money doesn't grow on trees and that kind of vibe. It sticks with you, you know.
It really does. Yeah.
It's interesting.
It really does. So thinking about your health and holistics and everything else, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges or misunderstandings really about aging for women?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, when you look at the I get very irate because whenever, you know, there's an article about a woman, her age is always mentioned. Whenever there's an article about a man, the age is never mentioned. So it'll be like, oh, Kate Winslet, 52, da, 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 da. I'm like, why? Why is that the case? And, you know, it is all about the looks, isn't it? They will come down and say, she's not aged well, or she's had work done, and it's all very I don't like it. I get quite angry about that. Yeah. So I think for me, just surrounding myself with women who are completely at ease with themselves. Most women that I know now of my age are super confident, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, I think it's things like, I still see articles now about, should you have long hair over 50? Should you wear a miniskirt over 40? And oh my word, it makes me mad. So I think it's just knowing your own worth and having full confidence in yourself, because we are fabulous. So.
We just are. Yeah, and yes. Similar to that, I find as well as listing their age, they also list their reproductive status. Have you know? But they don't for men. Very often they don't for men. So it'll be like, Kate Winslet, 52, mum of 3.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Why do we need to know that about, you know, her latest film or whatever it would be?
It's true. And I think, I don't know if you've seen Paloma Faith lately, but she's doing a brilliant job of kind of bringing to the forefront how biased everything is. You know, people say to her, oh, well, what are you doing with your children while you're touring? And she says, would anyone say that to my husband? No, they wouldn't. She's amazing at the moment. She's right out there. I love it.
And I saw it a lot in the some of the Olympic coverage and things recently, where, you know, they're like, oh, so many of the people competing today are mothers. It was the rowing in particular, you know, and they're all in the boat. I can't remember. There were several different events in the rowing, and they were like, oh, and out of the 5 in the boat, 4 are mothers, and they weren't doing it too. Oh, of the 4 guys in the boat, 3 of them are fathers. They weren't doing that, and it really sort of made me irate. And I do find I get a little bit angrier as I've got older.
Yeah, I'm far more feisty. Far more feisty. I always say I wish I had the confidence that I've got now when I was in my 20s, because I don't suffer fools anymore.
No, and I think instilling that into daughters as well, as well, but that confidence to recognise their own worth early on. I think sometimes I regret it when they give me a really smart answer back to something, but you know.
Well, they are a product of us, Claire. Come on, let's face it. But it's I think we've got a long way to go, but I do have a lot of faith in the younger generation. I mean, having a daughter of 19, and like you say, she's feisty, she's opinionated, but I see a lot of glimmers that I wish I'd had at that age. So I do have a lot of faith in the younger generation, for sure.
Yeah.
And us, of course.
I was going to say, I think they've probably got quite a lot of challenges, but then every generation has its challenges, doesn't it, in contrast.
Yeah, 100%, yeah. But I think they're willing to put themselves out there and fight the fight, which I really, really like. So, yeah.
And so why do you think midlife and beyond, whether that's 40, 50, 60, you know, and I hear stories of women even into their 80s going off and doing amazing things and starting businesses and starting new things. Why do you think it's such a great time to pursue our dreams and goals?
I think the confidence thing does have a lot to do with it. And, you know, for many of us, you know, maybe if we have had children, the children are getting older now, and where we've sacrificed a lot of time, we've now got finding ourselves with more time. And again, but coming back to the menopause thing, it made me very defiant. So I was very much like, you're not going to beat me. So yeah, I think it is probably, we've learned so much along the path and our confidence has grown. And like we've just said, I think you do start to care a little bit less what other people think. I mean, for me, probably when I turned 40, that's when I started thinking, I actually don't care what you think. I'm going to do it my way. And that is really liberating. And it's a good feeling. It's really nice. So, yeah.
And did you get anyone saying that to you when you started when you sort of got really serious about yoga and I'm going to launch this business? Did you get people saying to you, oh, what do you think you're doing?
Yeah, my ex-husband. Might be always my ex-husband. But he was just he did a bit of an eye roll and he was a bit like, I love him to bits now, but he wasn't, I don't think he really believed that I could do it. He always called yoga, he still does actually, he calls it a bit of stretching. That's it.
So he's obviously never done a yoga class then, because
definitely not. So yeah, love him as I do. He's a great support now, but at the time he was just, everyone else really was just, go for it, let's do it. But I think taking on a premises in a studio, maybe some people were a little bit like, oh gosh, do you think that's a good move? Why can't you just carry on, teaching in gyms and stuff? But hey ho, did it anyway.
Brilliantly.
Yeah.
So you've obviously done some amazing things and you've made, all these things come true for yourself. But are there any other dreams or ambitions the younger Becci had that you haven't yet realised?
I mean, the retreat this year in Spain was a real dream, because just floating around the place in a kimono with no shoes on, I just thought I was born for this life. So I'd definitely like to do more of that. I have actually thought about doing mentoring and stuff as well, and working with young girls and again, older women as well. That is something that's kind of niggling at the back of my mind that I'd really like to try. I don't know what form that will take, but it's there. And stuff, just bringing women together and empowering women is very much always been there for me. I mean, men are fine, but I think women are next level amazing. And I think the communities that we build and the way that we come together is just brilliant. So yeah, that's always in my mind. The foreign stuff, I love the sunshine, the getting out there, the doing something completely different. And I'm just very big on the community and the women's empowerment, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Like I say, I don't know what form any of these things will take, but that's what's up here.
The idea's there, and
absolutely,
and we know from what you've already done that you'll bring, an idea lands, and you're going to breathe life into it, I'm sure.
Thank you.
So for some of our listeners, they may have never tried yoga, or they may have had one or two attempts at it in their life.
Yeah.
And many of us, including myself, we have a bucket list. And for some people on that bucket list might be, I'd love to be one of these people who do yoga every day or have, yoga so many times a week. So for someone with that ambition, what would be your advice really in a good place to start if they wanted to build that yoga habit?
I think I always say, if you go to the wrong yoga class first, it will put you off for life. So if you're a beginner and you go to an advanced class, that's terrifying. If you're advanced and you go to a relaxing class where you're kind of lying still for 40 minutes, again, that could put you off. So what we try and do at the Beehive is we try and speak to everyone first and say, right, what are you looking for from a practice? For some people, it is the strength, it is the flexibility. Increasingly, more and more people are looking for it as a way to switch off from the world, which is amazing. So first off, you would need to I would advise speaking to an instructor or a studio manager to make sure that you're finding the right class for you. That's the first thing. And then it's so easy to incorporate into your life. You don't have to go to a studio every day. I always say to my yogis, if you can manage 1 or 2 classes a week, brilliant. But even one class, you can then learn the stretches. You can do that at home when you wake up in the morning. It's just easy to incorporate, I think, because you don't need any equipment. It's very much just your breath and your movement, and that can be incorporated anywhere. And just so many of the values that come along with yoga as well, you find it seeps into your day-to-day life quite easily. Yeah. So I always say to go to a studio is lovely because you are away from the world. I hope so anyway. I hope that when my yogis walk through the door, they've got that hour or however long purely for themselves. Because I think if lockdown taught me anything, it was being at home and trying to do yoga wasn't a good pairing because the dog would be barking, the washing up would be in the bowl, and I just find myself very distracted. But to go to a designated space and to, shut the door, have the music on and connect with your breathing and your movement, it's lovely because we all need that time away. We all need to stop and be present, and it's perfect for that. So, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you.
That's fine.
Thank you so much, Becci, for sharing your story and your insights with us today. But before we wrap up, I have one last question for you.
Yes.
And that's, what's one piece of advice you would give to anyone who feels it's too late to chase their dreams?
It 100% isn't. For me, it's your authenticity. If you're authentic, you believe in something, it's there for the taking, 100%. Don't ever try to be something that you're not. By the time we reach our age, we know our true selves. So I think as long as you're authentic and you've got the belief and the passion, yeah, go for it.
Amazing advice. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Becci. So to all our listeners, I hope today's conversation has reminded you that no matter where you are in life, it's never too late to follow your passion and achieve your goals. So until next time, keep believing in yourself and in your dreams, and goodbye.